come back in writing on that very specific question because I genuinely don't know the answer.
One of the reasons why there's this problem is that the police appear, over a period of time, to have been confused about what is a criminal act or not, with sending messages on social media defining jihad in the most peculiar way as some kind of inner struggle, or more recently saying, oh, we've looked at that flag, we've checked it out, it's not a threat, even though it's one that's been used by ISIS and so on. And that makes the public more inclined to think the criminal law might be needed rather than the enforcement of laws that we have. But would the Minister concede that we have a deeper problem than climbing on statues or what have you? We earlier discussed the horrors of children in Gaza and they're enduring, but when they're weaponised by demonstrators walking around with dolls covered in blood, shouting blood on your hands at our fellow Jewish citizens, we talked about disinformation earlier, and that's now being we now know that conspiracy theories are mainstreamed in political parties. No face masks required. Would the Minister just concede that maybe we should enforce the laws we have, but avoid criminalising other behaviour and avoiding the bigger problem of a growth of anti-Semitism in society that really needs to be challenged as much as any other racism that's a scourge?
I agree entirely with the Noble Lady about her remarks on anti-Semitism, which I find personally very disgusting, as does the government, as she will know. As regards police confusion, I think it would be unwise of me to comment on the matters that the Noble Lady describes, not least, of course, as we say frequently from the dispatch box, because of the operational independence of the police, which I'm very happy to defend. As regards the glorification, which he effectively talks about with regards to the protests we've seen, the UK does have a strong counter-terrorism framework, and I think it's important to recognise that, one of the strongest in the world. It is an offence to encourage an act of terrorism, and that includes glorifying, including by praising or celebrating, action in committing or preparing acts of terrorism where others may be encouraged to emulate that action. And that offence can be committed recklessly. And as I said earlier in remarks, I think I was answering Noble Lady Baroness Ducey, some 30 people have been arrested since the start of these protests for offences under the Terrorism Act. So the police are not confused when it comes to policing those sorts of marches, I would say. The statistics would prove otherwise. But again, I would say that these measures are proportionate to the sorts of measures, to the sorts of activities we're describing.
Should be again in committee on the Victims and Prisoners Bill.